JRPG being popular is a death sentence. There's an app at the Kosei Academy, but it's not for making friends, it's for replacing them. When a student's social score gets way too high, they're literally deleted from reality, and a monster, this glitch, crawls out to take their place. This is the story of the secret student group that fights back, diving into the digital world to save their classmates before they're erased forever. This game, this JRPG, is called Varlet, and this is a new game that actually just came across my radar quite like not even a couple days ago. I was like, what is this game? So actually I want to just discuss what Varlet is, and I feel like this is a very interesting idea. And it's a Persona like, Persona has really inspired a lot of developers out there to make games very similar to it. So I kind of want to just put a little bit more focus on Varlet. So let's talk about what's going on. So picture this, right? We have Kosei Academy. On the surface, this looks like any other Japanese high school, but it has one huge difference. It's the first school to be totally integrated with a virtual network called Johari. Students use it for absolutely everything: social media, messaging, shopping, school announcement. It made life super convenient for a lot of the kids. But it's also created this quite intense new kind of social battlefield. Every single interaction, every post, every friend request is tallied up, feeding a constant gnawing hunger for approval from your peers. And with that, a pretty dark urban legend started to spread. All the students whisper that when the desire for attention gets a little too strong, they just simply vanish. They supposedly fall into these otherworldly glitches inside the Johari network. But the truly terrifying part, they aren't just gone, right? A monster from inside that glitch is said to crawl out, take their place in the real world, and somehow no one else seems to notice. It's the kind of ghost story whispered in the hallways, almost a modern folktale for the internet age. But the only problem is, as we find out through playing through the game, every word that about these experiences and these rumors has become real. So the story of Varlet kicks off as so many do with you, the brand new transfer student. As soon as you arrive at Kosei Academy, you're thrown into this Johari obsessed culture. You see kids living their lives through their online profiles, their mood swinging up and down with their social scores, but you pretty quickly realize something is deeply wrong. A popular upperclassman, someone who always wants to be that center of attention, all those pick-me girls out there, the pick-me guys, they start acting weird. Their posts become a little bit more erratic. Their presence in person starts to feel a bit off. Then just one random day, they're even entirely completely different. The face is the same, but their eyes are empty, hollowed husk. Their movements just seemed a bit too inhuman. You could almost see like the glitching aura flickering at the edge of your vision when you look at them. And of course, you're the only one who sees it. Everyone else talks to this thing like it's the student you remember, but when you try to say something, people just look at you like you're crazy. And that's the moment where it all starts. The urban legend is not just a story, it's happening right now as we speak. And at this point, from the knowledge that I've obtained about looking at this game, you're the only one who knows it. You see a glitch flicker into existence in a classroom, and you stumble through it. You find yourself in a whole nother world. And that's another thing that I saw throughout all the trailers and some of the gameplay pictures, is that it's this twisted digital reality essentially that's crawling with a whole bunch of monsters. The game's tagline says that this isn't just about finding someone else, it's about finding yourself. Now that is something that quite intrigues me most for that tagline, because I'm just like, it's making me more intrigued that I want to play the game so badly. Your journey begins with the horrifying discovery that your school is being silently invaded, one popular student at a time. Now, the biggest question is this, like, man, this is just like Persona, because it's like you can really see the persona written everywhere. The next thing to know when it comes to Persona is, of course, what group we're a part of, right? Just when you're totally alone in this terrifying new reality, you find yourself quickly pulled into the Triple S, or the Student Support Services. This is not an official school club. It is actually a secret group of students who actually knows the truth. They've seen the glitches, they know their classmates are being replaced, and they decided to fight back. As the newest member, you actually become their leader. And that's another tagline that they say, that you have to be a leader and then you have to be a ruler. And it's your job to guide your new friends into that digital world to save your school. This is where that classic JRPG loop kicks in, because by day, you're just a student at Kosei Academy, just like all the Persona games. It does have that day and night cycle. You go to class, you help your other students with their problems as part of your SSS duties. You build bonds with your teammates. You can ask them to hang out after school. You get to know them, make your relationship stronger. But when a student is about to be deleted, you and the Triple S have to dive into the Johari network. These glitches are actually the game's dungeons, very similar to like the Tartarus dungeon in Persona 3, or doing some of the castles in Persona 5. This is the dungeons. It's an alternate reality that's born from warped desires and anxieties of the victim. Inside, it's a world of turn-based combat, puzzles, fighting monstrous versions of social pressure to pull your classmates back from the brink. Now, one thing to keep in mind when it comes to it is we need to understand the core mechanic of this game: fighting with your personality. So how do you actually fight a monster made of just data and desperation? In Varlet, you fight it with your personality. Now, that seems a little just off just by saying that on paper, but the game's core mechanic is the triad stats system. Every choice you make, whether it is in conversation or in the middle of a battle, shapes who you are across 6 key traits. These are split into 2 sides: the light triad, which is made up of morality, sympathy, and altruism. Then there's the dark triad, which has machiavellianism, psychopathy, and narcissism. This isn't just for flavor, it completely changes how you play the game. A dialogue option where you comfort a friend might raise your sympathy. Finding a lost phone and giving it a bat, that boosts your morality. But what if you decide to snoop through that phone for blackmail material? Then your Machiavellianism stat will shoot up. These choices unlock totally different options in the story, letting you handle things as a kind-hearted hero or as a cold, ruthless manipulator. More importantly, these stats are directly tied to your combat skills. A high altruism stat might unlock a powerful healing skill for your whole team, but putting points into psychopathy could give you an ability that reflects a ton of damage back at an enemy, even if it hurts your own allies. The game really commits these consequences. You can't just easily undo your personality choices, because your moral alignment is even shown visually, as the armor you wear in the glitches changes its look depending on whether you lean light or dark. The game's official website actually has a triad diagnosis personality test, which just shows how central this whole idea is to the game. Now, the price of overall popularity. As you and the Triple S go deeper into the glitches, you start to figure out what you're up against. Dungeons aren't random at all. They're created for the minds of the victims themselves. The monsters you're fighting are their own insecurities and desires twisted into this monstrous form. Students who's desperate to be liked might create a dungeon that's a warped, endless popularity contest. Another who's cracking under academic pressure might have their glitch like a nightmare library where books and knowledge attack you. The story of Varlet is a sharp look at the pressures of modern day social life. The game's director mentioned that the idea come from watching how people on social media can lose track of who they really are and the chase for likes and validation. The glitches, so-called, are basically a metaphor for that. Students aren't being deleted just for being popular. They're deleted because the desire for that popularity, that obsessive need for approval that Johari creates, grows so strong that it literally overrides their entire identity. Now, this similar system reminds me of a webtoon / Netflix show called Home Sweet Home, where it has a very similar type of way to go about it. If your desire is too strong, you become the monster of that desire. So that's another cool little thing that made me think like, oh yeah, I remember something very similar to this. But saving them isn't just about winning the fight. It's about helping them work through their problems and remember who they are underneath all that social pressure. But like a lot of JRPGs in this school life genre, building bonds with your team and other students is a huge part of the game. Varlet definitely takes some cues from series like Persona, where you have to manage your time and decide who to hang out with after class. But here, that's where it becomes a dangerous twist, because in other games, making friends is almost always a very good thing to do, but in Varlet, they warn you that getting too close to many people can have some very real and very negative consequences. The game tries to simulate the complex and messy drama of actual high school social circles, because if you spend all your time with one friend, another might get a little bit jealous or feel a little bit left out, which could mess with their abilities in a fight, or even start arguments within the Triple S. Trying to romance multiple characters isn't some simple harem route, because it can cause serious problems that affect the entire story. This system forces you to make tough choices about who you prioritize, adding a layer of social strategy that goes way beyond just maxing out every friendship stat. You're not just a leader fighting monsters, but you're also managing the delicate but often messy human relationships within your own group. But from all the information I was able to gather regarding Varlet, is that the story eventually just moves beyond just rescuing one student after another. It turns into a full-blown investigation, because we need to figure out who created created the Johari network. Why is it making students glitch out of reality? Why is this whole thing a horrible bug, or is it just actually working exactly the way someone intended? Triple Ace has to uncover the conspiracy at the heart of their school, pitting them not against just monsters born from their friend's mind, but against the powerful shadowy figures who started this entire crisis. The game does promise a story of self-discovery, challenging you to explore two sides of your own nature while you walk the dangerous halls of Kosei Academy. It feels like it's blending the daily life and supernatural drama of Persona with the heavy moral choices of like Shin Megami Tensei, all with that unique style that Furyu is known for from games like Monarch and the Caligula Effect. With the simultaneously worldwide release on August 28th, 2025 for PC, PS5, Nintendo Switch, Varlet is shaping up to be a huge new title for JRPG fans. But man, this game looks like a fascinating dark twist on the school RPG. And honestly, I can't wait to see how my own choices mess with the story. But if you're excited for Varlet, or you just love deep dives into JRPG stories, make sure you subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss out on my future videos. But ultimately, Varlet seems to be a story about the double-edged sword of being connected in a digital world. It asks you to face the very real pressure to perform socially by turning that pressure into literal monsters. The Triad stat system promises a story that actually reacts to you, where your identity as a selfless hero or a ruthless schemer has real, tangible effects on everything. This isn't just about saving your friends, it's about figuring out who you are in a world that always telling you to be somebody else. So I'll leave you with this question before I head out. When you have to choose, would you walk the path of the light triad, focusing on being that sympathetic and selfless? Or would the cold, hard efficiency of the dark triad of Machiavellianism and narcissism be too tempting to pass up? Let me know which way you'll lean in the comment section below. But as always, stay safe out there, outcasts. And it's been your host, KSDTV, signing out. Peace.